All right, welcome back to the SportsMax zone, and we're talking high-level European football in the UEFA Champions League. Reigning Italian League champions Inter Milan, who sit 8th placed on the table, squared off against the 9th place Mikel Arteta-led Arsenal in Milan, with both teams fresh from wins in their last league phase games. Well, we go to the San Siro for the highlights of the match.
Not a bad ball from Martinelli. They want a handball there, and they've got it. Well, that's all over. It's now a question of whether Çalhanoğlu can convert. Down the middle he goes, and into the lead. Go into Milan.
Going at the break, it looks like a goal to the good.
Havertz makes a dash to the near post. Oh, that was just over the head of Saliba. That was a chance for Arsenal.
Wasn't it just? I think I heard him shout out in frustration here. He's jumped, and he's kind of jumped away from the flight of the ball.
In by Saka. And off the line. Right, Denzel Dumfries.
Into Milan. Not really close to going over the line.
Trossard. Threaded it through to Havertz. Havertz going for that far corner and very nearly finding it. Sommer at full stretch to deny Kai Havertz and Arsenal. Almost at the back. Jesus denied. Barella.
Arsenal's unbeaten run in the Champions League coming to an end courtesy Inter Milan. Well, Juan Arango is back with us to recap Arsenal's match with Inter. How are you doing, Juan?
From a football standpoint, fine, if you will. From maybe others, not so well. But again, my dad used to tell me, you know what, son, don't worry about complaining because someone's got it much worse. And remember yesterday we were talking about Man City and their shortcomings. Well, maybe Arsenal have it worse, and they surely showed it today. I don't know if you guys spoke about this before me coming on, but there was one statistic that really stands out when it comes to Arsenal and what they are maybe only able to do or unable to do completely. 46 crosses in this game alone, and 32 of them were from Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. So that should tell you a great deal in terms of what Arsenal have been unable to do. And another question, Mariah, this is something that we should even delve. Why is Martin Odegaard coming in the 90th minute?
Yeah, a lot of questions surrounding that. And as in, what is Mikel Arteta actually thinking?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. What is he thinking? What is he?
Or is he thinking?
Well, thinking he is. Maybe he's not thinking all that right, or maybe he's thinking too conservatively, or maybe he's just being overly cautious when it comes to his team in actuality. So what is it? Because the more conservative you are as a coach, and conservative doesn't mean in a negative sense from a football standpoint, because today Inter played conservative football, but they had a masterclass defensively. So that in of itself ends up kind of negating that term in a derogatory way. Conservative, I mean, is very close to the vest, not trying to risk so much. Oh, well, you know, he's just coming back from injury. You're playing in a crucial Champions League match. You need all hands on deck. And today that was not the case.
Yeah. And you know, Juan, I was reading the headlines. I like to do that after the match just to see what different news entities are thinking, you know, what's the narrative like. And one of the articles on BBC Sports said, of course, Arsenal coming to an end with their unbeaten streak in the Champions League, courtesy a controversial penalty from Inter Milan. What are your thoughts on that penalty, and was it actually controversial in your view, of course?
It can be given. I mean, I've seen much less penalties or criteria be called in the Premier League. I mean, if people are going to blame Arsenal losing today to a penalty, then I think they didn't watch the game, because they offensively did very little. I mean, Jan Sommer, if he was bothered at all, it was just coming out to be able to, you know, catch crosses or be able to cut off certain, you know, balls that really were of very little inconvenience. I think many in England in particular end up kind of being skewed in terms of how things happen because an English team lost abroad. And I think that's one of the biggest issues. And we can't fall into that trap in terms of football. Arsenal did nothing today. There was very little. And Arsenal have been doing very little over the past couple of matches. It's not just what they did today. I mean, in the Premier League, they've struggled to get results. In the Premier League, forget results. They've been struggling to be able to create opportunities. And that's been the story for a couple of weeks now. And it's a team that maybe they're not in free fall, but they surely are a team that find themselves very rudderless right now in the middle of the sea.
Yeah, and I didn't see much protest from the Arsenal team when the penalty was given either. So I would suggest that, you know, the body language told me that they were accepting of the penalty.
I mean, look, let me go the inverse as well on this. If it wasn't called, I don't think I would have had a problem either. I mean, there are arguments for both. The referee decided to make the call, and of course, the job then is to, well, is there enough evidence to be able to reverse the call, which there wasn't. Now, inversely, it could have said the same thing too. If it wasn't called, there's very little evidence that could prove that it could be a penalty anyway. So it's one of those calls that if it goes one way or the other, it's completely fine. Because this is not, it decided in terms of giving the penalty, but in terms of the 90 minutes, was it really that much of a factor?
Yeah, that was an unfortunate penalty for me, but these things I see given from time to time in this level of football. So I agree with you, Juan, that I think, you know, it would be clutching at straws for Arsenal fans to be delving into that, as some sort of a protest. But any credit to Inter, who are doing well. I think they're unbeaten in all competitions now in 9 matches. Pretty close to the lead in Serie A at the moment. And played a pretty solid game.
When it comes to Inter, you see Simone Inzaghi's work and what he's been able to do defensively. Of course, it's a team that's constructed from the back to the front. But you kind of end up losing that with names out like Dumfries, like Hajanoglu in the middle with Lautaro Martinez up top. You end up losing a little bit of a sense in terms of that. But it's a team that's structured defensively. It is one of the best in Europe. So you knew coming in. I think the other day I said, I see it so tight it could be a draw. And well, I wasn't that far off, but obviously it was something also very valid to see in terms of what Inter have been able to do. And Inter have been able to establish themselves as a very strong defensive side. And again, they showed it tonight. Yeah,
and they're now 5th in the table in the league phase, just 2 points off leaders Liverpool, who had a good win yesterday.
Yes, absolutely. They had a great win, great run of form for Arne Slot and company. Now, and this is something, you know, we're talking about Arsenal having trouble and City having trouble. Well, Liverpool haven't hit that little pothole that they usually end up hitting in December and in January. So we'll see if they overcome that, what ends up happening. So it's too early to start raising hands and declaring anyone champion or declaring anyone a contender per se.
Yeah, and of course the Arsenal fans coming off the loss to Newcastle in the English Premier League over the weekend had a quick opportunity to rebound today and didn't.
I'm sorry, you broke up there for a second. Who?
Yeah, I was just saying, coming off their loss against Newcastle on the weekend domestically, Arsenal had an opportunity to rebound today and didn't.
No, they didn't. And I was listening to the commentary of this match, of course, from South America, and they're saying this Arsenal's a totally different side in Champions League that they are in the Premier League, and it's true. Because you see a team that's at least going forward, has a bit more direction. They had today, on top of the 46 crosses, they had 20 shots. I think it's the first time in over, it's something since 2006, since they last had that amount of shots and not score. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy when it comes to seeing the numbers that they're able to do. But again, one thing is me telling you about shots and crosses and everything else, but it's how uncomfortable they ended up putting this Inter team in extended stretches. There were some balls that came in that were mighty close. I think there was one that was even checked as he had crossed the line at one point, and that was basically it for Arsenal. There really wasn't much else to be talking about. It's a team that seems lost in their identity. Yeah,
I guess it's impossible for you to watch all 9 games, Juan Giarango. But a quick comment on Barcelona's 5-2 victory over Cervina Zvezda. We've been talking for the past couple of weeks about how prolific Barcelona are with scoring.
Well, that was a great segue because that was the other match I was watching. It was interesting. It was, yeah, because after that first bit of action that you saw that Inter comes through, hits the post, whoa, this match is going to be interesting, and then really nothing happened after that. But then, of course, you're watching Barcelona and how they were able. They just steamrolled past Red Star Belgrade. Now it's Red Star Belgrade. Let's keep that in mind.
Yes.
But it's a team that, again, as I was saying the other day, we were discussing this here in Zone, and we were saying, hey guys, look at how many options are coming in. I mean, it was crazy that Rafinha comes out and Pedri comes in, Lewandowski comes out, and you have a youngster come in, and you start having Dani Olmo come off the bench. So you're seeing now not only options being created, but options coming off the bench coming on to be able to also be threatening for Barcelona. Everything is working. Everything is clicking for Hansi Flick. Look at you smiling right there. You see, look at you.
I was just saying, Juan, that the stars have been aligned here for Ramarak because she has been mourning Man City's recent slump, but her other team, Barcelona, is making her smile.
And your coach too. What are you talking about? So, I mean, when it comes to this team, I mean, this team is doing some amazing work, and you got to give Hansi Flick all types of credit because he understood what needed to be fixed, he understood what could be improved upon, and he understood what needed to be maximized, and he's done all three so far. Now, do they have defensive breakdowns? Yes, they do. But when you're scoring 4 or 5 goals, that's okay. I mean, you told me the other day, what was it, 3.8, 3.9 goals the last 4 or 5 games that they played?
That's right.
I mean, you're allowed to score, you're allowed to concede a goal here and there. And if you're playing the way Barcelona are, at times you're going to be conceding goals. So everything's looking good over at Can Barça. So there's really not much else to even criticize as of right now because of the way they're playing.
Yeah. All right, Juan, we're going to leave it there. We're just going to have a check-in on all the full results today. So take care of yourself, brother, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, take care, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, full list of results now from the UEFA Champions League on this Wednesday. Shakhtar Donetsk 2-1 over Switzerland's Young Boys. Aston Villa beaten by Club Brugge. Feyenoord beaten by Salzburg 3-1. Atletico Madrid 2-1. A late goal there getting them past PSG. Bayern Munich sneaking a 1-0 victory over Benfica. Brest 2-1 over Sparta Prague. Cervena Zvezda, as we said, beaten 5-2. That's Red Star Belgrade, beaten by Barcelona. And Atalanta by 2-0 over Stuttgart. Full list of results on this Wednesday in the UEFA Champions League. We go to break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.